I'm going to call this meeting of the New Hanover County Board of Education to order. If everyone would please stand for the invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance and the national anthem. First thing I'd like to do tonight is in recognition of the tragedy that happened in Florida last month. If we would take 17 seconds, moment of silence in recognition of those who perished. Thank you. Gracious God and granter of wisdom, we come tonight to pray for the students and faculty viciously killed in Florida, in a place where everyone should feel safe. We pray for the many injured. Be with them as they recover, and be with all the parents as they attempt to understand why such evil happens. We ask your blessing on this assembled body as we seek to address the needs of our students. Help us to seek a path that serves the needs of each student enrolled in our school system. We pray for guidance for all our leaders, for our President, Congress, Governor, State Legislature, and our county commissioners. May their actions create an environment where each and every student is given the best opportunity to learn and become a successful student. We pray for those whose job it is to protect us. We pray for our law enforcement personnel, for our firemen, and especially for those serving in our military who each day stand in harm's way. Guide and protect them and be a comfort to their families. May each one be able to return home safely. These things we humbly ask. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Everyone may be seated. Our posting of colors, New Hanover High School, Principal Dr. Rob Morgan, Instructor Master Sergeant Jose Denigen, and Lieutenant Colonel Mark Hafer. and I'm going to ask them if they would come forward and introduce themselves. If you would tell us your class and what your rank is.
Hello, my name is Cadet Captain Anthony Smith, and I'm a junior.
Hello, my name is Cadet First Sergeant Zelaya, and I'm a junior.
Hello, my name is Cadet Sergeant First Class Jalen Majette, and I'm a junior.
Hello, my name is Cadet Command Sergeant Major Juwan Laura, and I am a junior.
Good evening, Master Sergeant Denigene.
All right, and our national anthem was the Holly Shelter Middle School Intermediate Piano Class, Principal Jane Kiker, Instructor Jeremy Milligan.
Good evening, everyone. I am Jeremy Milligan, and I'm going to pass the mic to my students.
I'm Caroline Harris, and I'm in 7th grade. I'm Emma Kay Ellis, and I'm in 7th grade. I'm Devin Jones, and I'm in 7th grade.
Ms. Adams, if you'd call the roll, please. Here.
Here. Here.
Here.
Here.
Here.
You have before you the agenda. Are there any additions or deletions?
None. I think we're going to add an addition for the rankings to the agenda. Are we making the announcement for what we talked about?
What?
We talked about that.
Oh, you weren't going to announce those tonight, but here will you?
Let's wait until Tabitha gets everything.
Okay. So,
Thank you.
all right. So hearing no additions or deletions, do I hear a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
So moved.
Have a motion and a second.
Can we, Ms. Adams, were we going to do that? Scholarship. That was my understanding too.
I didn't think we were going to do anything until you had notified them. I would rather they be notified before we announce it. With what, I'm sorry?
We can add it to this agenda. You do have a budget meeting in another week.
Well, we normally don't handle any business at that meeting other than...
Typically you don't, but if you
Okay, all right.
I would make a motion to add it to the agenda then.
All right, do I hear a second?
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. So we have amended the agenda to add, I guess, as new business. Make it item
G.
G, the announcement of the board scholarship recipients. All right, with that amendment, do I hear now a motion to approve the agenda? I think I already have a motion, but we have amended it slightly.
So move the amended motion.
Do I hear a second on the amended motion?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Then I think we're supposed to actually then vote on the agenda. So all those in favor of the agenda now, as amended, signify by saying, let me have a motion. I need a motion. I'm sorry.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The amended agenda is approved. Next item on our agenda is a closed session that we need to go into very briefly. So do I hear a motion we go into closed session pursuant to 143, 318.11, A13?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We will now adjourn in closed session.
Be here for 3 more years. The battle.
right, we're back in session. Next item on the agenda is administrative personnel recommendations, Appendix A. Dr. Markley.
I move that we approve the personnel recommendation.
Very quickly for the board, just as a reminder, we just met in closed session. It is my recommendation that we terminate the employment of Michael Kelly, science teacher at Isaac Bear Early College. I outlined the reasons in the meeting, and in order to do that, I need a resolution from the board. So the motion from Ms. Kavanaugh would be to adopt a resolution for dismissal for Michael Kelly.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Mr. Board, should I read the resolution?
That's typically the board's
Okay.
procedure,
All right.
yes, sir.
Resolution of New Hanover County Board of Education, March 6, 2018. Whereas the superintendent submitted his recommendation to the New Hanover County Board of Education, also known as the board, in closed session to dismiss a tenured teacher from employment with the board, and whereas the board has considered the recommendation and desires to approve it, and whereas the Teacher Tenure Act, North Carolina General Statute 115C 325B requires that the dismissal of a tenured teacher may only be accomplished by resolution of the board, and whereas the Open Meetings Law, North Carolina General Statute 143 318.11A6, requires that the dismissal of an employee by the board must be done in open session during an official meeting. Now, therefore, be it resolved that in accordance with the provisions of North Carolina General Statute 115C 325E and H, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, New Hanover County Board of Education hereby discharges teacher Michael Kelly from his employment with New Hanover County with the board. Signed by New Hanover County Board of Education, Edward Higgins, Chairman. You have heard the resolution. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Yeah, the resolution is approved.
Mr. Chairman, you may want to read what you pointed out in closed session that is part of the
I don't have
letter.
a copy of that with me.
Mr. Willard has a copy.
All right, I have been requested to read. There's a letter that is being sent to Mr. Kelly to notify him of our actions. In the closed session, I did call attention to the final paragraph, which I believe is indicative of how this board feels about what has happened. I will read it for the record. The board is shocked and appalled by your conduct. The board will not tolerate such conduct in the New Hanover County schools. In the event you are ever released from custody, you are hereby prohibited from being on any New Hanover County Board of Education property or at any New Hanover County school function without prior written permission of the superintendent or his designee. Any violation of this restriction shall be considered a trespass and reported to law enforcement immediately.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, ma'am, not a problem. All right.
Second administrative action. At the beginning of the year, you approve a list of folks to serve as interim principals or assistant principals when we have a vacancy. We have actually exhausted that list this year, and we'd like to add one person to that list, and that is Mr. Bud Dingwall. Mr. Dingwall served as a principal at Coddington until his retirement and is now going to serve as a brief interim at Anderson Elementary School.
I move that we approve that action.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It is approved. All right, next item on the agenda, the approval of the the minutes of the December 19 special meeting and December 20th special meeting. Do I hear a motion that we approve those two sets of minutes?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? They are approved. Next item on the agenda, recognition of achievement. Ms. Quattlebaum.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, everyone. At this time, we will have our community partnership presentation. This evening, we will hear from the YMCA After School Care Program, and they provide care at Parsley Elementary and Castle Hayne Elementary School. The YMCA operates 4 after-school care sites that serve New Hanover County Schools. So at this time, I would like to ask our principal of Parsley, Dr. Robin Hamilton, and also the Castle Hayne principal, Mr. Sam Highsmith, if they would come forward. And after we hear from our principals, we will hear from Hannah Horton, the site coordinator at Parsley, and Trey Overby, the site coordinator at Castle Hayne, and they will tell us more about the YMCA's after-school programs. And they have 2 beautiful students with them, 2 of our students from Parsley, Hudson Steiner and Jordan Edwards. But we'll get to meet all those lovely people in a minute.
We will. Thank you so much, Mrs. Quattlebaum. Good evening. Parsley Elementary School is home to one of the YMCA's after-school care programs. This serves an invaluable service to 70 of our families. The program is conveniently located near their homes and prevents students from having to be transported to other locations in the afternoons. We have about 40 staff children at Parsley. The Y works with our staff members on a part-time and a full-time basis. For staff members who need child care during staff meetings and parent conferences that are held after school, they simply inform the Y in advance of the days that they need to utilize the services. The staff members then pay a per-day rate, and the Y ensures they have enough staff to cover our needs. Having the Y provide after-school care in our school also helps build community within our building. It extends student and family connections across grade levels and throughout our school. We've enjoyed a long-standing positive relationship with the YMCA after-school program, and we hope it can continue for many years to come. Thank you.
Good evening. We are proud and happy to have the partnership with the YMCA. Since 2010, Castle Hayne has been blessed with this outstanding after-school program run by our local YMCA. They provide a safe and friendly environment for our students to wind down after a long school day. There are currently 40 students signed up through the WISE program, with the average of 20 to 25 attending on a daily basis. The caring and energetic 6-member team does everything from helping with homework to conflict resolution to character education. And the program also provided a really nice lunch, which it wasn't in my script, but I do want to reach out. In October, it was the staff loved it, so they are more than just a group in our building. They are part of our family. And so we're definitely glad to have the YMCA after-school program at the Castle.
Thank you, Mr. Highsmith. Now, Ms. Horton and Mr. Overby.
Good evening. Thank you so much for having us here tonight. As stated, I'm Trey Overby, and this is Hannah Horton, and we're from the local YMCA here in Wilmington. We just came to talk to you tonight to highlight what our program does and what our mission is in our school systems here.
Is there a way to change the slide? Sorry.
Okay. Just a few technical difficulties. I just wanted to start with my experience so far. As Mr. Highsmith stated, we've been in the programs or in the school since 2010, the following year after the school originally opened. I've been lucky enough to be there 4 of the 8 years we have run the program, so I've had a long-standing relationship with the school, which I've thoroughly enjoyed. Our program has seen continuous growth as we have been in the school. My first year, we ran with about 15 kids total. Now, as Mr. Highsmith stated, we have about 40 enrolled, so each year I've been there, we've seen an influx of about 10 more each year than the previous year we had. Daily, we average about 30. And here's just some pictures to give you a visual of what our program looks like on a day-to-day, some of the activities we do. One of them was a nature walk on a half day, a scavenger hunt, just cutting up during homework time. We like to take these photos to share with the parents. A lot of the times they feel like that they miss out on things when they're not there after school, so they enjoy being able to see that their kids are enjoying themselves during the time that they're not there. And I'm going to hand it over to Hannah so she can highlight her experience at Parsley.
Right.
There you go.
Okay, technical difficulties. All right, so I have been with the Parsley After School site within the YMCA for 2 years now, currently in my second year. The school itself opened in 2001, and the YMCA has had a partnership with that school for more than 8 years now. So our hope is to continue and expand the program as much as spacing will allow us. Currently we have 68 kids at our Parsley location. There's a picture from when they had picture day. And like Trey said, we take a lot of pictures to share with the parents for our newsletters and emails, different things like that. So there are a few pictures of my kids that I've taken. Also some group photos of some of our STEM activities we have done, which we will get into next.
So as Hannah stated, we do like to involve the kids in a lot of STEM activities. If you're not sure what that stands for, we just recently adapted it to our program this year, and it stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics. The goal of the program is to make sure that the kids are using their imaginations to create an event with the supplies that we provide them. Some of the examples that we put up here, for instance, was a marshmallow fort, where they're given an assorted sizes of marshmallows and toothpicks, and it's up to them to build a fort that they think is sustainable. Marble mazes as well, where they were given supplies to create a maze for a marble, and then they had to present to show that the maze they created will work for a marble maze. STEM bags was a really fun one, where they were given just a random paper bag with art supplies, and it was up to them to create something that will be used for a purpose. Some of the things the kids came up with were like an extended fishing rod out of the pipe cleaners that were in it, or some of them made a mobile to hang pictures. I think the funniest one that they came up with was a handmade fidget spinner, because that's what all the kids want today. So they were able to use the supplies to create that and explain it. Leaf rubbings was an easy one that we did that was anybody can do in any program, where we just went around the lot of the school grounds, picked assortments of leaves. They had to trace them and shape them onto paper, and then we had an open discussion about how every leaf has a different texture, has a different shade on the paper. And Candy Heart Tower Challenge was a fun one that we did for Valentine's Day. It was up to the kids to build a tower out of candy hearts. They had to guesstimate how many they thought they could stack before it would fall over. And if they didn't feel like that the way that they originally did it was high enough than what they thought, then it was up to them to think of a different way that they might be able to build the tower. So the goal of STEM is to make sure that they are stretching their thought process and using their imagination to create and invent and do the things with the supplies we provide them. Moving on to our reading initiative, Hannah is going to cover that, which is another big part of our program we've adapted this year.
Yep, so as you said, our reading initiative is something that we adopted into our program a couple of months ago. It has been overwhelmingly positive reaction from my kids, so I'm very happy with that. What it consists of is us having a staff member read to the children for 15 minutes each day. They read aloud to the kids. We send them in groups. They are, for most of our after-school sites, broken into homework groups depending on their age. So that allows us to kind of adapt the reading materials to the group or the age group's needs. What I mean by that, for example, 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders might spend a few weeks reading a chapter book, whereas the kindergarten, 1st, and 2nd graders usually go through a few different picture books each day. So it has really been something that they enjoy doing, and every now and then I let them read. They love to read to the other children. So It has been shown that this reading aloud to kids for 15 to 20 minutes each day does improve their language competencies and as well as their reading comprehension. So that is one of the reasons why we chose to bring that into the program. Also, most of our kids are supposed to have 15 minutes of reading each night. So that's another thing that our parents appreciate, that this is getting done in after school and is not a hassle for them to have to worry about once they get home. So, in addition to our reading initiatives and our STEM activities that we do, we also follow HEPA guidelines, which is Healthy Eating and Physical Activity Standards. So what that means is every day our kids get a minimum of 30 minutes of moderate to vigorous exercise each day, and they also get 2 healthy snacks each day. This is something that kind of sets us apart from what other after-school programs offer within New Hanover County, so we're quite proud of that.
And we just wanted to highlight some of the feedback and response that we have to the programs in the school. I wanted to emphasize Principal Highsmith. This was his first year at Castle Hayne, his first year being exposed to an after-school program on site in the school. And I made sure that I introduced him within my first week of school and the program running there this year. And I gave him a chance to kind of come and see how we operated, how things went day to day as far as being in the school. And he was really appreciative of how much we do for the kids and how much of a benefit it is to have it at the school. Like he said, the teachers do enjoy the lunch that we provide them on a half day every year. Some of the parent responses that I also wanted to highlight that I know I mentioned earlier, how a lot of them like the pictures we take just so they can see what exactly we are doing day to day. They enjoy knowing that their kids are in a program that is really providing for them and helping them excel in their school experience. They know, they trust me and Hannah. We've been there for a couple years now, so they have built that relationship with us, and it has made a difference to a lot of them. It's really great to have kids through the years and send them off to middle school, and their parents always talk about, oh, we're going to miss having this next year, but it really has made a difference in the schools, I feel. And just to give you a little bit more insight, we did bring some of our kids tonight just so they can tell you what they've taken from the program. So first, I'm just going to bring up 2 that I brought with me, Mr. Caleb and Miss Sadie Harper. They'll just come up here real quick. Come on, Caleb. They're very nervous.
Don't be.
Yeah, don't be. See? You want to go first? You want Sadie to go first?
You're welcome here.
Just tell them what you enjoy about the program. Okay. Sadie, go first? Okay, Sadie, go ahead. It's all you.
What I enjoyed most about the Y is playing games and Mr. Trey helping me with my homework when I needed it, and having fun and eating healthy foods.
My name is Caleb Harper, and when I was at summer camp, Mr. Trey was my counselor. He was a very nice person, and after summer, when I went to Castle Hayne, it was always nice to see him at the end of the day.
Okay.
No.
You want to say more?
No.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Hudson Steiner, and I'm in the 6th grade. For the past few years, I have been in the Y program at Parsley Elementary, but I am currently at Myrtle Grove Middle School. I have really enjoyed the Y program, and I always loved how the Y had scheduled times, and you were given plenty of time for your homework. Every counselor I have met through the Y has always been so sweet, encouraging, and helpful. They were always there for you if you had a problem, and they were always ready to help, and I really loved that aspect of the Y program. The Y program had always given me time to talk with kids that I might have not talked to during the school hours, and so I liked how they provided that time to do that. I love how the counselors always had the program under control so you could focus on whatever you're doing. because sometimes it's hard to focus when you're at your own house. So I really liked that. I liked how the Y was held at school because it was a lot nicer than riding the bus, and so I liked how your parents came and picked you up, so I really liked how you were just held at the school, and so I really liked that. The Y helped me because it kind of took me out of my comfort zone and opened me up to new people and ideas. I liked how they did that because I would have never done that before, so it was really nice that they did that. I really liked the crafts that they did in the Y. That was certainly a lot of fun, and it showed me that I really liked being creative and the creativity, and I liked how the Y promoted creativity. And I liked how they also promoted exercise. So that's it.
Oh. So again, we just want to say thank you for allowing us to come and be a part of this meeting tonight. And if you have any questions or if you know of any parent or school that might have an interest in a partnership with our program, we would love to direct you to our website, which contains all of the contact information, and we'll be happy to get you any information you need. Thank you.
Thank
you. Before you leave, I would also like to recognize someone else who is out in the audience, Mr. Dick Jones, who is head of the Wilmington Y. If you'd stand up, please, and we want to say thank you for all that the Wilmington Y does. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you again to the Y. So at this time, we will begin our recognitions, and we will recognize the 2018 Rookie of the Year finalists and the Rookie of the Year. The Downtown Wilmington Rotary Club has partnered with New Hanover County Schools to recognize beginning teachers with less than 3 years of experience. And at this time, I'm proud to introduce the 5 finalists. Several of them are not here, but I will call their name anyway because I think they deserve recognition anyway. From Wilmington Early College High School, Miss Margaret Krulikas could not be here. From the International School at Gregory, Miss Sydney Kong is also not here. And from Trask Middle School, Miss Katie Leonard, not here. From Freeman Elementary School of Engineering, Miss Ashley Anderson. Thank you, Ms. Anderson. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the New Hanover County Schools Rookie of the Year winner, Ms. Adriana Poveromo. Ms. Poveromo is from Forest Hills Global Elementary School. And if your principal or family members are here, we would ask that you would please stand. There's Ms. Hall. Okay. There you go. Congratulations again. Now, our next recognition, I have an announcement. We were going to recognize our state wrestling champion, Alex Sampson, but Mr. Sampson and his family cannot be here tonight. So with the board's pleasure, I would like to bring him back next month so we can recognize him in person. Okay, thank you so much for that. Dr. Holliday. He's our athletic director, just to make sure he's okay with it. Okay. Our next recognition is very special. This is very prominent. We have a group of students who placed very highly in a New York Times student contest, essays and so forth. And our students were among thousands across the nation to enter, and they were among the top winners. These were Hoggard High School's pre-IB English 2 students who've been participating in national and global discussions with the New York Times since September. These contests provide students with real-world audiences for writing assignments that have helped them cultivate the traits needed to become international baccalaureate learners. So at this time, we will ask the students to please come forward so that we can recognize them and let them know how very proud we are of them. In the Media Literacy Challenge, Jocelyn Savard, whose essay was awarded one of the 7 best essays. Jocelyn here? Our next student is Emma Lisk, whose video won first place in the Media Literacy Challenge. Emma Lisk. We have 3 students who earned honorable mentions in this category, and they are Bella John Carrick-Teron. I had to call the school 3 times. to learn how to say that, but she's special, so it's worth it, right? Emily Player is our next student. Emily is also an honorable mention winner for the New York Times contest. And Nikki Tenorello. For the student review contest, we had an honorable mention, 2 honorable mention students, Zach Gill and James Wilt. That's James. And then finally, the last contest we're recognizing, it was called Making Connections, and it linked classic texts to the world today. Ian DeRucia was a runner-up. If these students' English teacher, Miss Leslie Lucas, is here, there she is, Miss Lucas. Congratulations to Hoggard High School for having such outstanding students. We're so very proud of you. That is an amazing accomplishment for the New York Times. And our final recognition for this evening is for our Sea Perch competition. And you're probably saying, Ms. Quattlebaum, what is Sea Perch? Well, I'm going to tell you. Sea Perch is an underwater robotics program hosted by UNCW Center for Education in STEM and sponsored by the United States Navy, Mr. Hayes, and Robo Nation. And we had a team called the Beach Bots, and they're from Laney High School, and they earned the top spot in the high school division, and they have qualified for the National Sea Perch competition in Massachusetts this spring. So we are about to meet the Beach Bots. When I call your name, would you please come forward, and we'll have your coaches. So the first Beach Bot is Griffin Zwack. Francisco Reyes. Connor Robinson. And Sierra Dummermuth. This team was led by teachers Jenna Boyd and Keith Benton. Congratulations to everyone. And that concludes our recognition, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Good stuff.
My muscles were seizing up. I don't know how color guards do it. Are you sure they did something with the air?
Heat or freezing?
All right, next item on our agenda is the call to the audience. I would remind you, each speaker is limited to 3 minutes. However, time does not permit dialogue between the board and the community. While the board welcomes residents to share their views, the chairman retains the right to limit discussion on particular topics when such comments become slanderous or personal in nature. We've also said that if you are longer than that and you want to turn in a paper completing what you wanted to say, then feel free to do so. We've had 2 people to sign up. First person on my sign-up list is Lisa Harris.
Good
you
evening.
might want to pull the microphone up a little bit.
Sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that better? Okay, sorry. Good evening. My name is Lisa Harris, and tonight I am representing a large group of parents who formed specifically to increase the safety in the New Hanover County schools. Our mission is to create a safer environment for our children by pulling concerned local parents and citizens' ideas into actionable items to present to you, the New Hanover County School Board. Last night, our group met formally, and Mr. Dave Spencer, the Director of Safety and Crisis Management, and Mrs. Carolyn Craddock, a licensed clinical social worker and addiction specialist, addressed our audience. We also discussed several parent ideas to accomplish our mission. In this handout, you'll find all the ideas presented. At our meeting, parents had a chance to vote on the ideas they would like you to consider first. They are as follows. Request an additional SRO officer for each campus. Our options could include a retired veteran, military officer, or security guard. Have regular lockdown drills at all schools. Add security cameras and connect them to the police department for surveillance. Add a trained police dog to each campus. Institute a mentoring program with senior citizens, UNCW students, or other volunteers who are interested in mentoring students dealing with difficult circumstances in their personal life. Add a red tape security line in each classroom to get children out of view and outfit each class with 5 rubber door stops per door to make the classroom door harder to open if the lock is broken. Have teachers wear a lanyard and security fob around their neck at all times to alert school and police if they notice a security breach. Lock down all schools so that each school has one point of entry controlled by a buzzer. Implement and educate kids about programs like We Dine Together, See Something, Say Something, and Rachel's Challenge. Counselors could share a pamphlet with students about these and other programs offered. If there is an incident on campus, families want the following information as soon as possible. What is the nature of the incident? Is the incident on or off campus? Is the school safe for my child? Is the school unsafe and locked down? When may parents pick up their children? This information could come in an emergency text to let staff, faculty, and families know what is happening on campus. These are a few of the many great parent ideas, and we will continue to share more as they funnel into us. Our group would like to partner with the board members and other interested community members to produce effective, immediate changes in our schools. We would love your feedback as soon as possible. I have put my contact information on the handout you will be given. There is nothing more important than protecting our children. Let's be proactive and make change now so that we know we've done all we can to prevent tragedy later on. Thank you.
Thank you. Sarah Smith. Sarah Smith.
Mr. Chairman, where's the handout?
Ms. Harris, the handouts? You've got them. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
All right. Well, since Ms. Smith doesn't seem to be here, then we will move on to the next item on our agenda. Head Start report, Mr. Shell.
Thank you, Mr. Higgins. As you know, we have a monthly report on Head Start for the benefit of the public. Head Start is a program, a federally funded program that New Hanover County took over 4 years ago and does an outstanding job with. It's serving 3- and 4-year-olds. We also have other pre-K programs, but Head Start, because of its nature and being federally funded, requires that we report on it, that the 7 board members serve as the board in the fiduciary capacity in that regard. So meeting that criteria, and with that preface to what we have, the first item you have before you is your monthly report, and you've heard this quite a bit, but just a very brief summary. We have 260 children in this program, 97 of which are 3-year-olds, 163 4-year-olds. As far as some of the updates, over 100 children and parents and guardians came together at Johnson Pre-K Center to spend quality time together in a collaboration with Smart Start called Blockfest. And there were educational ways to play together with blocks. Conscious discipline is something we've talked about before, and it's a program that we have instituted in our schools, and it does make a huge difference in how you correspond with children and help them to be successful. That is certainly something that we're continuing to work on. The study chapters 3 and 4 were completed by instructional staff. Coaching from Loving Guidance happened in February as part of a school team approach. Those are the basic highlights at this point. I want to thank Ms. Smiles for her leadership and Ms. Greer, our principal at Johnson Elementary. The second item that you have before you is a monthly report. And again, this is the fiduciary side of that. We have a total budget of $1,977,697. In addition to that budget, we have indirect cost that the school system provides. But in looking at the monthly report, it's the period, the 9th month of the grant year ending in January, or 75% through the year. And in looking at the expenditure reports or line items, they do appear to be mostly in comparison with that 75% completion period, with some exceptions as in health support services, and those services were provided earlier in the year. So it's really a timing issue along those lines. Well, unless there are questions, that's all that I wanted to report to you tonight on that expenditure report, but everything is in line. Yes, ma'am.
I have a question. What is the definition of Hispanic Latino versus non-Hispanic Latino?
You have a, Ms. Smiles, can you answer that? I do not know the answer, but we'll see if we can get one.
Thank you.
So if I'm understanding your question correctly, you're wanting to know the difference between non-Hispanic and Hispanic?
Well, on the first report, it had Hispanic Latino and a number, and non-Hispanic Latino and a number, and I was wondering what the difference between those two are.
Okay, so the difference between the Hispanic and the Latino ethnicity and race?
On the first report, if we could get back to the first page, there was a number for Hispanic Latino and non-Hispanic Latino, and I was just wondering what that was.
One is race and one is ethnicity. So there's two different classifications, and that is specific to what we report to the federal government.
It says that both are ethnicity, according to
So one
the
is
report.
Hispanic and one is not Hispanic.
And what is the difference between the two is my question.
You can be from a country that's typically labeled as Hispanic, but not have a Spanish origin. You could have been a Native American or a native to that, a Native Indian who lived in one of those countries who came here. So one deals with going back to the origin of the actual.
The origin and
Spanish
the race
descent,
and ethnicity.
non-Spanish descent.
And we're seeing an increase. So,
Yeah, I saw that the number of non-Hispanic Latinos is about triple that of Hispanic Latinos, and that's what my question was about.
Mm-hmm. So most of our populations do come from the Mexico origin.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I have a question too, not on that, but on something else. If you go back to your budget report, I note that professional and technical services, we have not spent much money on that. Is there plans for professional development later on in the year?
Okay, so professional and technical services.
Right.
Those, you do have a PA-20 funding for that, which is for your professional development and training. So those funds, so the two professional and technical services, your PA-20 funds are almost fully liquidated. So when you're looking at this, the summary of the objective is the 300s. So what specifically would that?
Well, my only question is there's $125,000 remaining balance in that account, and I just wondered when that money would be used.
There's 3 months left.
Okay, so there's 3 months left, and so that's embedded in your 5340 and your other purpose codes as well. So I'll have to get back with you on that.
Okay, I just wanted,
To,
it looked like a big chunk of money left, and.
Yes, it's at
I
36%.
mean, I didn't know whether that was professional, like, well,
Well, looking at the object code, that's 300, so I'm thinking of contracts.
Okay,
And
well-
other services that are possibly being invoiced.
all right.
In
I just-
addition,
I just,
you have your
know,
PA 20 funds.
I'm big on professional development. I think it's important we have professional development. I just want to make sure that we are utilizing that money.
Yes, sir, and we tag those differently in the coding system. We code it PA 20 funds, and we are allocated $26,843 for that. So that's in addition to these. So your 300 object codes are your contracts
Okay,
and services.
thank you.
Okay, the next, we have 2 more items. The next item is the indirect cost report, and we're required to show that to you on a quarterly basis. It's probably the boringest report I've seen in a long time, in that it just talks about what it costs for overhead, which New Hanover County Schools provides. It's like the building, electrical, water, sewer, that type of thing, and we're required to show that. Unless you have a specific question, it's there's not much to it. We talk about it once a quarter, that these are things that it takes to operate a facility. And since Head Start doesn't own the facility, New Hanover County Schools does, that's a separate cost, but we're required to show it. Any question about that?
Anybody have a
Okay,
question?
and now our last item is to, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Smiles to introduce our guest so that we can chat a little bit about mental health. Thank you.
So in your Appendix E, we are very excited for this school year to be a part of the partnership with Coastal Horizon, providing school-based mental health services for our Head Start students. A part of our Head Start performance standards is mental health services. We contract out our behavior observations, but in addition, this school year, Principal Greer was very successful in collaborating with New Hanover County Schools and Coastal Horizon in receiving 2 staff members from Coastal Horizon to bring those services to the school. So we're very excited to have this service in addition. So what these counselors will do with our students is help them cope with challenging behaviors and equip to manage their emotions in school. So the earlier the better. Early intervention is prevention for mental health. So it gives me great pleasure to have Kristen Williams, who's a supervisor for the Johnson counselors, and she's going to share some highlights on what these services look like for us.
Thank you and good evening. My name is Kristen Williams. I work with Coastal Horizon Center. I'm a licensed clinical social worker, and I oversee all of our school-based programs that we collaborate with New Hanover County Schools and Coastal Horizon Center. And Johnson Pre-K is one of those programs that we serve. We started initiating services this year in October of 2017. And we provide confidential mental health services right on school campus. The reason that we know that this is important and it's helpful for our students is it increases the academic time that students are available, and so we will pull them out of non-academic periods in their day to receive mental health supports right on campus. Currently, we have 24 students that we're serving at Johnson Pre-K. We have implemented 115 individual mental health encounters over the course of our time there since October. So those are just individual visits with students who require additional mental health supports while in the school setting. And then we also are able to, the 2 therapists that we currently have there are not Spanish speaking, but we have others in our office. And so we're able to also offer Spanish speaking services, so that way we can include families in the mental health services that the students are receiving while they're on campus. I think our partnership continues to grow. We've seen it grow since October in ways such as we've participated in staff education on how to recognize mental health symptoms in students at Johnson Pre-K and ways that they can refer them to services. We've participated in parent nights, so then we can also have those same conversations with parents about recognizing mental health symptoms in their children. The staff there has been nothing short of phenomenal to partner with and work with. We're also working and participate in the MTSS and the IEP meetings for students when necessary. Our therapists currently are not formally trained in the conscious discipline, but because it is so embedded in what they're doing at Johnson Pre-K, our staff is definitely familiar with that, so that way students are receiving continuity between what they're hearing in the classroom, what they're hearing when they're with their therapist, and then what we're engaging families in the family therapy part of what we offer. We're hoping to continue to build the partnership at Johnson Pre-K and the services that we offer, and help students and teachers recognize how to connect families to mental health services when necessary. So our therapists currently use a play therapy approach. They are going through a new training that UNCW is putting out with some top-of-the-line evidence-based programs in play therapy that will happen next month. They also offer age-appropriate interventions, and then, like I said, individual and family therapy to students at Johnson. And then lastly, the other thing that we're doing specifically at Johnson is making sure that we're linking students and families to other services. So if mental health school-based services are not what that particular student needs, maybe they need an enhanced level of care, maybe they're stepping down from an enhanced level of care and need support transitioning back into the school, we're offering those referrals and supports, and then also connecting families to other community resources. Like I said, we've only been there since October, but we've seen some great results. Our therapists are also trauma-focused, cognitive behavioral therapy trained, so recognizing also when there's traumatic events that are happening, and so we can intervene early. Any questions?
I'd like to make a comment. I don't have a question, but my comment would be that we all know that mental health services is critical to school system. And this board has funded mental health, but not to the extent that it would like to. And the good news with Johnson Preschool and the quality program that Coastal Horizons has is that these folks are Medicaid eligible. And so it's a federally funded service that you provide that we're able to take advantage of, and I just want to thank you personally for all you're doing.
We're glad to be a part of it. Welcome.
Well, I want to point out too, in case some people did not see the school safety summit, if you will, that Chairman White of the County Commissioners had. Mental health, I think, was a real central point to that discussion. Being able to reach out to individuals who were exhibiting mental health issues. One of the things that was discussed also, kind of a little bit along what Mr. Shell's talking about, is the students who, and this may not be so much with Head Start, but in the school system, students who do not qualify for Medicaid, how do we provide mental health services for them? So I think that's going to be a challenge for the county over the coming years to be able to figure out how we can reach the greatest number of people in need of mental health services. So I want to thank you for what you're doing at Johnson, and hopefully what you start at Johnson can be not only spread across the county, but also can ameliorate some issues that might have come up otherwise.
Just to that, we also serve 8 other New Hanover County schools through Coastal Horizons programs. And either we will work with private insurance to bill that way to ensure people are accessing care, or we have options for different grant funding for uninsured or underinsured students.
That's good to know, because that was one of the issues that came up at that forum about how do we help kids who are not receiving Medicaid, do not qualify for Medicaid, but still are in need of services. But
I'm glad that's part of the conversation.
thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else, Mr. Shell?
No, sir. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right. Next item on the agenda is for information. Dr. Marker, how long do you think the signature programs and the school safety is going to take?
Extensive.
Well, then I suggest we take a short break before we get into information. So we will take as close as we can to a 5-minute break before we...
I would then ask, just very quickly, if we could move the resolution up, because we've got several guests here.
Oh, okay. I have no problem with that.
Oh, okay.
All right. We're going to go ahead and do item C, the resolution honoring the legacy of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, Appendix H.
All right, I would ask, I think the two folks who have put this together, if they would come to the podium, that's Ms. Bertha Todd and our DA, Mr. Ben David, and talk about this resolution. We are honored to be a partner with them in what we're doing, but this was, in a large respect, their efforts, and I'd like to give them the opportunity to talk about that.
Thank you very much. Members of the Board of Education, Dr. Markley, and staff, it is a pleasure to be here to work with the District Attorney Ben David as we work on an event, April 4th, for the benefit of acquainting students and adults with the legacy of a man who gave his life to humanity. Ben, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman and members of this very distinguished New Hanover County Board of Education, good evening. Many people do not know the story of Dr. Martin Luther King. We all know that on April 4, 1968, he was gunned down at 7:01 p.m. Eastern Time, 6:01 Central, outside of room 306 in the Lorraine Motel in Memphis, Tennessee. What very few people in our community know, and what we're trying to change with this commission, is that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., at the very moment that bullet was fired, was supposed to be here in Wilmington. Specifically, he was supposed to be at Williston Senior High School, which, as you all know, was the pride of the African American community at the time, an all African American high school, which closed later that year. He was to come to Wilmington in order to conduct a voter registration drive at the high school for the first African American gubernatorial candidate in North Carolina's history. And sadly, history was changed forever when he changed his plans to remain in Memphis to protest on behalf of sanitation workers there. I find it remarkable that this history is not better known, and I am committed to working with Smith Todd and the other members of this MLK and Wilmington 50-year Commemoration Commission to make sure that our children know this legacy and the adults in this community do too. And so to that end, we have worked with the school system to have an essay contest which reflects on the mountaintop speech that he gave the night before his death in Memphis on April 3rd. We have worked with area pastors to make sure that our houses of faith are not the most segregated hour in America on 11 o'clock on a Sunday morning by having inclusive services throughout this year, as well as honoring a moment of silence and ringing bells throughout the city at 7:01 p.m. on April 4. And we are having 2 different events at Williston where he was supposed to be on that day to mark his 50-year anniversary. We're going to have an event for the school children sometime during the school day, and then the entire community is invited to attend from 6:30 to 8 p.m. that evening so that we can honor a man who fought for justice, who fought his whole life for equal protection and reconciliation, who I think we can all agree 50 years later was not only on the right side of history, but did something really remarkable with his life. And so for that reason, we urge you to adopt this resolution, which not only sets aside April 4 of this year as a special tribute day, but just like we do with anti-bullying prevention efforts in our schools on the month of October, we ask that a unity color be worn, the colors of black and gold to signify Dr. King's fraternity, Alpha Phi Alpha, that we have a plaque erected at Williston to commemorate this forgotten history so that all people might know it moving forward, and that we do everything we can as a community to love each other in the face of hate and to fight for justice and equal protection for all people, much like Dr. King did 50 years ago. And so with that, Mr. Chairman and Mr. Markley, I urge the adoption of this resolution, and we'll be happy to answer any questions. I want to say that of all the privileges I've had as serving as your district attorney these last 14 years, this lady right here standing next to me is someone I regard as a friend and truly a living legend in this community, and I'm honored to work with her and so many of the distinguished members of this commission to make sure that this history is celebrated in the right way, and that on April 4, we have a tribute that's fit for a king. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, it's listed as an information item, but I would ask the board for an adoption this evening of this resolution.
All right.
This is awkward wording. That one right there.
You have a question?
It's just that the whereas New Hanover County residents will honor Dr. King and his legacy with several activities on April the 4th, 2018, including a moment of silence at 7:01 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the time he was shot 50 years ago, to reflect on his words and vision. I was just wondering if there was a better way to separate that into two sentences. It's kind of awkward. Do you understand what I'm saying?
We can certainly make any adjustments on that.
And Ms. Kavanaugh, I concur with your point, and we can certainly work on that.
That's my only problem.
You're correct that we are actually serving to have a moment of silence, and we'll be in the ceremony from 7 to 7:01, and then at 7:01 to have the church bells ring among the many houses of faith throughout the city at 7:01. So we will make that distinction within this resolution.
I don't have a problem with the resolution. I just thought that it was a little awkward and thought it could be written a little bit better.
Absolutely. And for what it's worth, we are leaving this meeting to go to City Council, where a similar joint resolution by the city and county is going to be read. And so we will make sure that it's consistent with what they're going to do city and county-wide. Thank you for that clarification.
I'm not a grammar expert, but I just thought it could be improved a little.
Absolutely.
Dr. Markley, I would make a motion to approve a corrected version of the resolution.
Thank you.
I second that motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion or questions?
I'd just like to thank both of you for the effort you put into bringing this forward tonight.
Absolutely. And please don't take anything I say as criticism.
No.
I just want to make it even better.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. I've had a motion. I've had a second. There are no questions. All those in favor of adopting the resolution signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It is adopted. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. All right, we're going to take a short break. I would like to keep it to 5 minutes.
Can we
Yeah, well, I gotta go find out.